If you're watching this video, I've played Spider-Man 2. What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Olympus Game Reviews and today we are unpacking Spider-Man 2. Before we get started, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on upcoming content. Without further ado, let's get right into it. Spider-Man 2 came out for the PS5 in 2023, developed by Insomniac. First up, let's dive into the graphics for Spider-Man 2. If you guys have played the first one that was remastered on PS5, the graphics for that is pretty much still the same, similar to the updates they did to the Miles Morales DLC, with a slight few changes. If you haven't played the remastered version on the PS5, then one of the major changes would be Peter Parker. Peter Parker's face, they updated his model. To me, kind of resembles more Tom Holland-ish. Another would be Miles Morales. He still looks the same. He kind of grew out some dreads on the top. Other than that, his face still looks the same. MJ. Now, me personally, I don't like what they did to her face model. To me, her face looks more squared than the Spider-Man 1 version. Hey, we're all here for Spider-Man, so that don't even matter. Outside of that, all the other characters still look the same. From Genki Lee, Miles' mother, Mr. Negative, and everybody else. The city in Spider-Man 2 is a lot bigger now. Now that they've added Queens, there's a lot more to explore in the game. But the city really feels alive when you're running through the city. If you're walking on the streets in Spider-Man 2, if you stand still long enough, some of the citizens will come up to you and either ask for a picture or a high five or something like that. The game really does a good job making you feel immersed in the world. The same quality they had in the previous title is still there. From scaling the buildings, you can still see, it looks like you're in the window and you can see people in their apartment. There was a few moments in the game where I felt like the characters were they looked a little weird in the scene. That could have been just lighting and the rendering of the environment. I felt like it just looked a little off. All in all, I ain't got no complaints for the graphics. The audio, every little detail as you're swinging through the city, you're hearing the traffic and the car horns and the crowd and everything as they pass by from left to right, on the way the audio pans from left to right. You really feel involved. You feel like you Spider-Man or Miles. Let's talk about the gameplay. They really stepped it up with the gameplay. I felt like the combat in this one was a lot more aggressive, whereas in the previous one, the way you fight was a little bit more, I guess, free flowing. The enemies in this one is way more aggressive, where I felt like you spend more time reacting versus like free flowing your combat, trying to use your moves and plan what specials you want to use and things like that. Is the enemies are coming at you so hard on there where you find yourself just trying to either survive or just clear out the enemies, because you're like, I need to get them away. It's too many of them, right? And the way they attack you in different methods at the same time. So you have to prioritize like which enemies you're gonna take out first. For instance, Kraven, he has like some robot dogs where if you keep them in the battle too long, they actually can send out like almost like an EMP, where it actually blinks out your gadget, so you can't use your gadget as long as they're sitting there emitting that EMP pulse. So now they have to be prioritized. You have to go ahead and kill them in order for you to, use your gadgets amongst the rest of the enemies. But there's a lot of different enemy types in the game, which I'm very impressed with. You have some little cult faction. You have just regular thug mercenaries. You have the symbiotes. Obviously, you have Kraven hunters. There's a lot. The suit selection, like Miles and Peter have some pretty dope costumes on there. They have all the costumes from the MCU as well as all the Spider-Verse stuff. They have a whole bunch of other costumes from the comic books. A cool thing I like too is with the costumes in particular is they actually have different colorways that you can unlock. So not only do you have all these different costume options, but when you unlock a costume, it's like a tier 1, and then when you unlock the second tier of the costume, you get like 3 or 4 different color variants of that particular costume. As far as skill trees, they really did a good job with Miles. He has his own separate skill tree. Peter, he has his own separate skill tree, and they both have a skill tree which both of them shares. That's basically abilities that both of them can use, like different type of acrobatic abilities and things like that, or traversal abilities. As far as their special abilities, like Peter has his and then Miles have his. You can also swap your special abilities out. For example, Peter has his spider legs that come out that he can use for like a special attack or something like that. But later on in the game, when you start getting the black suit and the symbiote stuff, those kind of override the spider legs. You can also choose to, if you don't like any of the symbiote abilities, you can actually swap those with and replace them with the spider leg abilities as well. So you're never stuck on like, oh, I have to use the spider abilities or the symbiote abilities. You can swap them however you see fit. Similar to Miles. Miles has his own double abilities that you can play with and mismatch. Fighting as Peter, you really like feel like Spider-Man, and even with Miles, you feel like you're Miles or Spider-Man. They did a really good job in doing that. There's also a lot of side missions in the game, similar to the previous one. A lot of the side missions in this one I felt like were a lot better. They focused more on Peter's intelligence. One of the side missions where he was helping like genetically splice plants and species and things like that to help the environment. Miles had his own side missions as well that only Miles could do. Another cool thing is you can swap between Peter and Miles as long as you're not in a particular mission where it's focused on Peter or it's focused on Miles. You can jump back and forth between the two. Obviously the swinging is A1, right? It was perfect on the last one. This one, they stepped it up a notch by actually introducing like some web wings. To me it felt like a squirrel suit. I found myself just using that way more than swinging on my web. The web suit is so much fun. They also have like wind tunnels throughout the city, so where it actually can give you extra boosts to keep you gliding. You can swing yourself super high where you're above the skyline. You can pull out your web suit and just glide out. You know what I mean? Just it's dope. It's dope. They really did a good job with that. The controls felt good. With the haptic feedback of the PS5 controller, everything felt good in your hand. Oh no, I think Insomniac did an excellent job with the combat system. If you've played the first one or the Miles DLC and you really enjoyed it, this one takes it up even a notch. There are so many different moves and abilities you have in the game, you probably won't even use all of them just because there's so many and you have so much to choose from. Now let's get into the story. The story is fire. I'll go as far as to say, me personally, I haven't been this excited experiencing a Marvel product since pre-Endgame. The story of this game was so good, it actually reminded me of when the MCU used to be good. It's picking up from the events after the Miles DLC. Peter and Miles is kind of trying to figure things out. Peter's trying to get a job. Miles is trying to go to college. They're, trying to blend in and have a normal life. Harry comes back in the picture. Peter thought Harry was going on vacation, but then he finds out that Harry was actually sick the whole time during the events of the first Spider-Man. The way the story starts playing out is it almost feels like, because you have Miles and you have Peter, and they're kind of friends, they're kind of best friends to a degree, right? They're close friends. I wouldn't say best friends, but they're close friends. And then when Harry comes in the picture, it kind of bumps Miles out of the way for a second. It's almost like Peter inadvertently kind of stands up Miles a lot in the game, right? Because he's kind of focused on Harry. It's Harry, because Harry's his best bud, right? So it forces Miles to kind of branch off and like, I don't need Peter, I'll just do my own thing, right? I like that dynamic with the story because it didn't make Miles feel like he was a sidekick, right? It kind of forced Miles to stand on his own. Then you introduce Kraven. First off, I just want to clap for Insomniac on how they did Kraven. Kraven, that was a tough boss. To all my Dragon Ball Z fans, to me, he felt like Cell, where Cell just wanted to be perfect and he was willing to fight anybody, let you power up, get stronger. He wanted all the smoke, right? Kraven was the same way. Kraven, he just wanted the perfect hunt. So in terms of however that looked, whether it was gonna boost you up, he would literally make you stronger at your best just so he can hunt and kill you, just to prove that he's the ultimate predator. What more can you ask for? So when Kraven got introduced, Kraven basically came and he wanted to hunt all the villains. So he started capturing everybody. Most of the villains were already in prison due to Spider-Man, you know, and Miles capturing them. He busted everybody out of jail, captured them, and to each of the different villains, he actually like made them stronger. To like Scorpion, for instance, he actually gave him like an even more deadly venom. Scorpion got it and, you know, got boosted up and was like, yeah, like my venom is this the most potent venom I have. Kraven was like, well, that still ain't enough. Off them. I was like, that's cold. He didn't actually kill Sandman. That was actually a battle between Miles and Peter that they did, which was a dope fight by Lizard. Lizard wasn't even in lizard form. He was actually the scientist. So Kraven actually injected him with a serum that triggered his lizard gene and actually made him bigger and way more aggressive than normal lizard, right? So it was almost like a super lizard. And Kraven was just that dude. At first, Kraven wasn't even looking at Peter. Like, it was just kind of like, I'm not messing, like, I'm not hunting no spider. I don't care. It wasn't until Peter got the black suit to where Kraven was like, okay, like, you might be worthy of the hunt, right? Because when Peter got the black suit, you know, he starts getting more aggressive and more evil. With Miles, once Kraven came, capturing all the villains, obviously he broke all the villains out to capture them. But what triggered Miles is when Kraven took Martin Lee, right? Mr. Negative. When he took Mr. Negative, Mr. Negative was responsible for Miles' dad's death. Miles wanted, like, nah, you're not about to take Mr. Lee and break him free. Like, I need to, he deserves either to be in prison or I'm gonna kill him. Kraven ends up taking Mr. Negative as well, like his, you know, his crew and everybody ends up taking him. That kind of triggers Miles. Once Peter starts kind of dismissing or standing up Miles and everything like that, inadvertently, Miles started to like, okay, well, I'm about to take matters in my own hand and start doing my own thing. And he starts trying to hunt down Mr. Negative. That was his reason for hunting Kraven, because if he finds Kraven, then he gets to Mr. Negative. From Peter's perspective, initially wasn't really looking for Kraven. It wasn't until Kraven started attacking everybody around Peter. For those who didn't play the first one, Harry he started out having the symbiote suit first, and that was actually keeping him alive, keeping him healthy, as long as he was the host. Once he exposed that he had the symbiote abilities, Peter was like, where'd you get that from? And then they kind of start being a team. So they started doing, I would say, missions together, but the way it was set up, it really wasn't like a mission. It was just events was happening and Peter and Harry was doing them together, right? Or Peter would be somewhere and then Harry would show up to help. At this point, Peter wasn't even calling Miles for backup. It was more so calling Harry. Like, you know, obviously that's my best friend. You got your suit abilities. This dope. It gets to a pivotal point in the story where Kraven actually injures Peter and it's fatal. Harry was trying to save Peter, but as he was doing that, the symbiote left Harry and went on to Peter. And that's what it healed him. Now Peter's the host. The hard part about Kraven is the fact that the whole time, Kraven, even though Peter had the black suit, Kraven still wasn't looking at him like that. He was kind of like, nah, I could sense you're holding back. Like, I don't, you're not ready for this fight just yet. And he just kept on. Like, you encounter Kraven a couple times and you fight him and Peter would lose every time. And it was to a degree where Kraven was like, you're not ready yet. You're not ready. You're not worthy of my time. Like, the fight always got interrupted or Kraven would leave. So once Peter snapped, Kraven was like, yeah, okay, now you're the monster that I want to fight. The pacing of the game is phenomenal. It didn't feel bogged down, slow. Now that Peter has a symbiote, Harry was actually starting to get sick again. His health was slowly decreasing, and it got to a point where obviously he was butting head with Peter because he was like, hey, I need that suit back. Peter was like, man, you don't deserve the suit. It got to a point in the game where Peter finally got the suit off of him. They was gonna lock the suit up, like, you know, destroy it, had it in the canister. Harry ends up getting the suit because he wanted it, because he was dying. When Harry gets the suit back, that's when Harry really becomes Venom. He engulfs him and embodies Venom. He gets big. It's the Venom we like, right? Where he's referring to himself in third person, talking about we are Venom. When he said that was the equivalent to when Captain America said Avengers Assemble in Endgame. I didn't even see this coming. At that moment, you already hyped. You getting goosebumps because you're like, yes, this is Venom. This is Venom. We got Venom. They let you control Venom. Man, I lost my, I lost it. I lost it. I was geeking. I was geeking out hard. They was sitting up there. I was controlling Venom. I had Venom abilities. I was wrecking everything. You control Venom and you actually fought Craven. Everybody knows Peter's not gonna kill Craven. Miles is not gonna kill Craven. Well, Venom does. He ran up against Craven. Obviously Craven was excited. He was like, yeah, like this is my final, you know, prey or whatever. After you beat Craven, he actually went out hard. Craven was that dude. I ain't even gonna lie. Like I really enjoyed Craven. On the flip side of all that, with Miles is going through the story, and as I say, he's hunting for Martin Lee. But when that happens, he ends up meeting up with Martin Lee. They fight. That battle was dope because Martin Lee kind of has like a Susono. I was just like, oh, that's new. Ultimately, the hero forgives, and they kind of had a long conversation, dialogue, talked out their differences to a degree. In the process, Martin Lee, his abilities kind of amplified Miles. So now that kind of unlocked another ability. Miles don't get a Susono, but I'm saying like Miles, like Venom Strike and everything like that is like amplified from that point on of the game. But that gave him like a whole new like set of abilities and stuff. They had a lot of Easter eggs in this game. The Cult of Fire, you find out that the leader of that is actually Cassidy, which is going to be Carnage. They actually let him get the symbiote. He didn't wear it yet, but he stole it from, is like a train that was carrying. He actually got the canister and got away. If Insomniac does a Spider-Man 3, Carnage is expected to be in there. Can't wait for that because that's finna go dumb. When you flip back to Peter and you actually fight Venom and defeat Venom, Harry ends up getting into like a coma. So at this point, he's like a vegetable. His dad is actually blaming Spider-Man. Like, you're supposed to save my son, but now look at him. So now he kind of looking at Spider-Man as a enemy now. So at the end of the game, post-credit scene, he actually goes down there and meets Doc Ock, who was already locked up from the previous one. And he was like, yeah, you know who Spider-Man is, right? Like his real identity. And obviously Doc Ock does. He knows that that's Peter. If they do a Spider-Man 3, more than likely, I'm expected to at least see Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and Carnage. At least those three. Probably be some more in there, but those three I'm at least expecting to see in a third one. At the end of the game, Peter's kind of wanna take a step back from being Spider-Man, and want to live a normal life and try to, you know, build with MJ. He basically gave Miles the keys to the city, and of course Miles was like, yeah, I got this, like, go chill, do your thing. The torch has been passed to Miles. If there's a third one, Miles will probably be the forefront, right? And Peter will probably just play a support role. So at this point, that brings us to our final verdict. If it's trash, discount, or day one. And I think by now, I think you already know, I'm going with the day one. You will not be disappointed. Day one, all day. This is fire. Spider-Man 2 is fire. Insomniac, good job. If you played the first one and enjoy it, you will for sure enjoy the second one. If you played the Miles DLC, you will for sure enjoy this. I haven't felt this excited about a Marvel product since Endgame. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on upcoming content. Until next time,